Rare Patient Voice was founded 10 years ago. Here's how I remember it happening. Hi, I'm Wes Michael, president of Rare Patient Voice. In 2023, we're celebrating the 10th anniversary of the founding of Rare Patient Voice. Here's how I remember it happening. I was working for a medium-sized market research firm in 2013. I wasn't hitting my sales expectations, and the company was having a cash flow issue, so it was suggested that I work for a few months without pay, see what I sold in the meantime, and then we'd figure out the pay. I thought that was creative, but I had had an idea in my head for a long time, creating a research panel of patients with rare diseases and their family caregivers. In the meantime, I sent out a few resumes to pharmaceutical companies, which went into that keyword black hole where you don't hear anything back. So I got serious about starting my own company. I had memories of the Mad Men episode, where they leave one agency to start another over the weekend. It took me a little longer than that. I rode my bicycle to the Barnes & Noble and bought a couple of books about setting up your own business. I went to a local seminar by the Maryland SBA about the same topic. I thought about names. I wanted a name I could use both with patients as well as with clients. Not every panel company does this. I still have a sheet where I listed naming criteria. 1, connote to patients a place where they can share their opinions, not sound threatening like a pharma company. And 2, connote to clients, market research vendors and manufacturers, can provide a hard-to-find respondents for rare diseases. Also, it needed to be available, easy to remember, and not too generic sounding. Once I had the name Rare Patient Voice, I decided we didn't need a logo at first. But Leah Pasternak, who helped me with our first few projects, had an idea if we spun off other businesses, and she put them in a comic strip, Call-Out Bubbles. And I shared the idea of Call-Out Bubbles with my sister Becky, who ran a graphics business, and she and her employees came up with some logo options. Some former colleagues shared their opinions. My suggestion was flipping the loop from the outside so it went from thick to thin rather than the reverse. That was my only contribution. But then we had a name and a logo. We knew we needed to go to patient events to start recruiting patients, so I worked with Becky to get a trade show booth, tablecloths, signage for booth, and for both the client and the patient events. The first patient event I went to was a Baltimore area hemophilia education session near our airport, and we got our first patient signed up. I spoke to the father of a hemophilia patient, and his son was in college, and he said he'd be happy to sign up. So 1 down. Next, I went to the first event that I exhibited at, the National Hemophilia Foundation Annual Conference that was in Disneyland in Anaheim, California in October that year. I got into a cheaper hotel a few blocks from the conference. Standing all day was killing my ankle. The following year, I had ankle surgery to fix it. And I remember limping to and from the hall, but we recruited over 100 hemophilia patients and caregivers, and we were on our way. Right before that conference, I got a call from Charter Oak Field Services, who had gotten our name and were in the middle of a difficult hemophilia recruit. Do you have any hemophilia patients? They said. I answered no, but by the end of the weekend we will. And we did. That was our first project, and it was a success. Since then, we've grown our panel to over 120,000 patients and caregivers and completed over 8,000 projects, paid patients over $10 million, and expanded to 9 countries. We've grown our staff from just me to 25 full-time and 20 part-time employees. So, being invited to leaving my job 10 years ago was the best thing that could have happened to me. Thanks.